Hello and welcome to another oil painting time-lapse. This piece is called Natural Selection and is painted on a wood board. It started out as an acrylic painting, as you can see in the first layer, but I quickly changed my mind and took out the oils. First of all, I have to say I'm sorry for the flickering light. I'm still new at this and didn't realize my head got in the way of the studio light when I leaned forward or checked if the camera was still recording. I would have preferred to have the light on my left, but since I have limited space in my studio/our bedroom, there is a piece of furniture in the way. I will try to work something out for future videos so that the lighting will be constant. Today I thought I would talk a little bit about myself and what drives me as an artist. Mental health awareness is very important for me, so I have decided to be completely open with certain aspects of my life. As some of you know, I have schizoaffective disorder and level 1 autism, or Aspergers as it used to be called. Schizoaffective disorder is kind of a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and it means that I have episodes of mania, hypomania, depression and psychosis, and I have had it since I was 15 years old. These diagnoses have had a big impact on the way I live my life, and it sometimes shows in my work or in the lack of it. During depression, I can hardly do anything. And during mania or hypomania, I have done a lot of things, but not necessarily anything good. Some say that mental illness can be an advantage as an artist, but to be honest, that has not been the case for me. If I had been balanced all the time, and if I would have escaped affective episodes, I probably would have come much longer on my artistic journey. My depressions have always been long, for months and sometimes years. During those episodes, what comes out when I eventually create something is very gloomy and somewhat hasty. I don't have the energy to put much effort into my artwork, and most pieces only take like an hour or so to complete at the most. And during mania or hypomania, I create a lot of stuff, but at those times I also have an extreme self-confidence, where I think that everything I do is fantastic and perfect. Mania always ends with a deep depression in my case, and at those times I realized that all I did that I thought was great was actually pretty horrible. So no, I don't think that my mental illness have been an advantage when it comes to creating art. Quite the opposite. When I feel good, but not manic good, that's when my painting and drawing skills are the best. The medicines now keep the schizoaffective disorder at bay, and I haven't had an episode in a long time. But autism is not something one can medicate. Instead, I needed to adjust my life to it, as I found out when I got that diagnosis earlier this year. That means I cannot pressure myself to do certain things, since I want to avoid the extreme stress reaction called dissociation, and I also want to avoid burnout, which I've had in the past. Earlier in my teens, I got the diagnosis social anxiety and agoraphobia, and was told that I should pressure myself to be around people and expose myself to the things that gave me panic attacks, to get used to it and get over my problems. With my autism diagnosis, I was instead told to avoid the situations that stress me the most. For instance, I need breaks when I'm around people, and I oftentimes cannot be social more than a few hours. After that, I need time for recovery. Especially now that I've gotten up to full time at my work. I also need to wear earplugs and noise-cancelling headphones at work to minimize impressions. That simple thing, to shut out noise, was a huge help for me. I have a regular day job in an open office landscape, so I create art in my spare time. It's quite the challenge to keep my energy levels up so that I have enough strength in the evenings and on the weekends for art, and also be able to spend time with my partner and our cat, and sometimes family and friends. I'm always trying to maximize my time, and at the same time get enough rest for the everyday life so that I'll be able to work full time. I love time management, lists and trackers, and my bullet journal is the perfect tool for this. I have gone from super decorated spreads to minimalistic ones to save time and to focus on the essentials. Now it's simply a tool to make my life easier, not something I necessarily want to show off. When it comes to creating art, my goal is to be able to finish a painting every other week. But since life sometimes happens, and I easily fall out of routine when I'm tired, that has not been the case since I started my YouTube channel in May. Now, however, I have started to get life more towards the place where I want it to be, and therefore the goal is starting to get within reach. At current speed, I'm able to finish a painting maybe once every 3 weeks or so. Of course, the video editing also takes a lot of time, like this one. I spent months painting this artwork, and I had about 250 video clips to go through and edit. My camera stops when it has recorded 12 minutes, that's why there are so many of them. This time lapse is at 10,000% speed, since I didn't want it to be too long and tedious. One of the reasons why it took so long is that I'm still learning how to paint with oil, and also that I oftentimes change my mind about a painting when I'm halfway in. After the first layer, I decided to lighten the piece up, and when I was done with the second layer, I decided it needed more contrast. 3 layers is still not that much, considering it's an oil painting. But I started out with the intention that I would finish it in 1 layer to keep my productivity rate up and finish a painting every other week, as it was my goal for this year. It's hard to estimate how much time a piece needs before it's finished, and I'm a little bit of a time optimistic. Everything is not about productivity though, but joy. I love painting so much I can't even begin to describe it. Even on the days I don't paint and draw, I still think a lot about it and gather inspiration from the world around me. I write down ideas in my phone, and I sometimes make small, quick sketches in a sketchbook. But when I have more time, and I'm able to sit down and being engulfed in creation, I become filled with happiness. Everything feels right. That's one of the things I'm supposed to be doing with my life, and it completes me. It has taken me a long time to figure things out and adjust my way of living to a form I'm happy with. Painting relaxes me and helps me recover from a day around people. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook, pod or interview on YouTube, but when I've had a day filled with impressions and stress, I oftentimes just paint in silence. That way my mind may wander as it pleases, and it's easier to go to sleep those days. Completing a painting is one of the best things I know. Starting out with a sketch, transferring it to a wood board, and then starting to fill it in with soft, smooth paint is extremely satisfying. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything has its place, but I also have the freedom to rearrange and change things to my liking. Of course, there are days when I'm too exhausted to do anything more than watch a movie or series, and that is perfectly fine. As long as it doesn't take over my life. It doesn't give me fulfillment the way painting does. Even if I have only been painting for half an hour in the evening, I go to bed feeling proud, satisfied, and happy. Life is not about being perfect, it's about being happy and trying to make people around you feel the same. One of the best things I know, apart from actually painting, is when someone responds to my artwork with a positive feeling of some sorts. What that is depends on the piece of art, of course. Some of my art is very bright and happy, some is dark and symbolic, some is a mixture. I have more than one style, since I like to mix things up to make creating even more fun for myself. I also like to change mediums, nowadays between oils, watercolor and color pencils. I know that one is more likely to succeed and be great at something if one focuses on just one medium and style, but that's not my cup of tea. I want to have fun and enjoy creating in every way that comes to mind. Creating art is one of the things that help me cope with reality, and it has a huge positive impact on my mental health. If you yourself struggle with depression, anxiety or stress, I highly recommend that you start with a creative hobby of some sorts. Apart from professional help, of course, that is super important. In a deep depression, it's hard just to go take a shower, but if you have a somewhat milder depression or suffer from anxiety, you can simply set a goal to draw for 5 minutes every day, for example. I like to draw eyes and trees when I'm down and cannot think of anything else. Flowers works just as well. I never use reference photos for this, since it easily puts pressure on the result. It's easier that way, you're free to draw however you want. Even if you think it looks terrible in the beginning, it will improve over time, making you feel more confident, and eventually you will look forward to those 5 minutes of creating. When you feel the time is right, spend 10 minutes drawing, then 15. It's best not to put too much pressure on yourself during depressions. That's why I think it's important to take it a little bit at a time. Eventually, the drawing minutes are a safe space for self-expression and healing. You may even start to use a colored pencil or two for your drawings, and after some time, you have worked your way up to bringing out the brushes and paints and make a mini painting. But as I said, if you suffer from mental illness, you also need professional help and possibly medicines. Creating of some sorts is just one of the tools I use for coping with depression, anxiety and stress. And now, when I'm finally out of the depression swamp, painting feels absolutely amazing. I really hope you will experience that feeling about creating art as well, whether you suffer from mental illness or not. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe to my channel for more painting and drawing time lapses. I hope you have a wonderful day, take care, and I'll see you next time.